It bothers me as a right-handed coffee drinker that they put the logo on the, outside for a left-hand drinker, you know? Let's talk about Den of Wolves. Den of Wolves is the game that might dethrone Payday as the king of the heist genre while Payday's at its lowest. As we can see, this was the last update for Payday 3. Or maybe Den of Wolves is gonna suck. I don't think anybody really knows. But that's what we're here to talk about today. And without any further prelude, let's just jump right in. Let's talk about what we know so far about Den of Wolves. Den of Wolves is being made by 10 Chambers, also known as the people behind GTFO. For anyone unaware, GTFO is an intense co-op horde shooter, and it kinda took off a few years back. That's also made by 10 Chambers. It has an emphasis on strict teamwork and skill, otherwise you'll wipe and have wasted 4 hours of your life on one level. And now 10 Chambers is finally back with their next game, which is pretty similar to Payday. It's coming in 2020X. That means 2029. Now, I've mentioned 10 Chambers a few times. 10 Chambers is headed by Ulf Anderson, and he's one of the fathers of the original Payday. Now, if you've played Payday the Heist, you know it was a pretty darn good game. It was made in that early era of co-op gaming where the game was fun first, and then it had some bells and whistles to keep you playing the game. Also from that same crew, we have Simon Viklund. He's the man responsible for the absolute banger soundtracks in Payday the Heist, Payday 2, and GTFO. Even though GTFO doesn't really use his soundtrack anymore, the sound broke towards the end of, I think Rundown 7 is when it, totally broke. I don't know what they're doing over there. Anyway, based on all this info, Den of Wolves seems like it's going to be a pretty decent game. It's got a lot of star power behind it, a lot of good developers. Kind of like how Back 4 Blood was shaping up to be a decent game using the team from Left 4 Dead 2.
Nice.
Anyway, it's important you know this because this is a good chunk of the team that made Payday what it is today. Or, well, maybe kind of what made it what it was 5 years ago. Life was so good back then, where did we go wrong? I'm mentioning all of this as well because they definitely want you to remember this, just take a look at their YouTube channel. They're definitely not being subtle about the roots of this game, just like Back 4 Blood wasn't being subtle. And now for this game, 10 Chambers has also grown like the Payday 3 development team if time was moving backwards. They went from a team of about 10 people working on GTFO, now they're packing about 100 people working on Den of Wolves. And the good thing about that is, 10 times the team size means 10 times the quality. Back 4 Blood didn't even do anything to me, I don't even know why I'm being so mean. Anyway, a little bit about the game itself, they haven't given us a whole lot of information. But it's the year 2097. We're in a gritty cyberpunk cityscape where everything sucks, aka Dallas, Texas in about 3 years at the current rate. We're playing as mercenaries doing dirty work for mega corporations. And no, we're not just guns for hire. I'm gonna bring that up in a minute. Remember that phrase, it's very important. You're gonna see why that's an important phrase and you probably won't be happy about it. Some of this dirty work seems to include espionage, assassination attempts, and looting important pieces of futuristic technology. Basically, it's more missions kind of like Green Bridge or Undercover in Payday, where we're focused on single items instead of a lot of money in, a bank vault. The stuff we're getting is just worth a lot of money, but to somebody else. And that's pretty much it for what we know on that front so far. They haven't really shown off too much about the story missions, they've just kind of shown more tech demos than anything else. So let's talk about some of the things we've actually seen so far now. We're going to talk about actual gameplay. We've gotten some official footage from the Den of Wolves guys, I'll have that playing right here in the back. And if you've played GTFO, you'll probably see some similarities. The gameplay seems like it's going to lean heavily on sticking together and tight team-based coordination, at least from what I can tell. The guns look like they have a little bit more punch this time, which is great because GTFO, the weapons always seemed a little stinky to me. I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm glad they kicked it up a little bit. They seem like they punch a little harder. We've also seen some futuristic gear, kind of like deployable cover walls was one of them. And it seems like we're gonna have some classic drill style objectives where you have to stick near a point and just kind of defend a drill while it works. It's very Payday 1 and 2 in nature, which is probably a good thing. It's not Payday 3 in nature, and I can tell you that's a good thing for sure. So that's pretty much everything that we've seen and heard about the game. Let's go over some of the things that I would consider to be positives. First up, I think the developers seem like they have a pretty clear vision of what's going on for their game. They know exactly what they want to make. They're not trying to please everybody, they're sticking to a very difficult, strict vision for their game. It seems like they're making something unique, and honestly, I think that is a big breath of fresh air for the genre. As it stands right now, we're currently drowning in Unreal Engine, heisting slop like Payday 3 and Crime Boss Rock K-City. So while I think Den of Wolves might not be for everyone, I'm counting it as a positive that I think this game will at least be good for the group that it's dedicated to. Just like how GTFO wasn't, appealing to everybody, I think dedicated fans that enjoy this specific type of game are going to enjoy Den of Wolves, from what I can tell. If it's a good game, it's very important that the game is actually good, but I think this is a very important positive, that they're sticking to something that they really want and not compromising their vision. No more slop, please. I don't want any more slop. To go with that, I think they're very confident in the game because the marketing around it is very, very large. They've got all kinds of trailers, cinematics, devs just kind of sitting there talking to the camera about stuff that they're working on or passionate about for the game. We recently got a gameplay reveal, which is pretty awesome. They also have these wacky stunts like this drone show that they did that I don't really think anybody watched because that part wasn't really marketed super well. I don't know what happened there. I didn't know it even happened. And I was watching the Game Awards that night and knew about Den of Wolves beforehand. I didn't say all the marketing was good, I just said it was big. Drone shows are pretty big. Like in scale, like they're large. Gameplay-wise, I think I like the direction they're going in so far. I mentioned it earlier, but I think the guns look like they feel a little punchier than the GTFO counterparts. And it seems like they're going with the strategy of less dense enemies, but tougher enemies. It took a pretty significant amount of hits to take out just one enemy in that gameplay reveal, and I think that makes the game feel more grounded than the extreme horde amounts of a game like Payday 2. I think the neighbors, I think, are doing yard work. I think, yeah, they're like having a fence built out there. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I'm billing them for a sponsorship. I'm contacting the fence company. I will be billing them for a sponsorship. Tone-wise, this game is gritty, dark, and consistent. If you like the serious vibes of Payday the Heist over the, meme caliber of Payday 2, then you might like Den of Wolves. It seems like it's going to hit that sweet spot. And I think by far the most positive thing is you subscribing to my YouTube channel. That's right. If you subscribe, my content will fill the hole in your heart that she left when she dumped you. It's been years, bro. Just get over it and subscribe. I had to get the shameless plug in there before we talked about the negatives. It's like a psychological thing. So anyway, let's talk about the negatives. First off, I'm not a fan of the visual clarity and the art direction. I feel like I find myself saying that a lot these days. This one is not as bad as like Killing Floor 3, but it's not fantastic. From the gameplay we've seen, it seems like identifying enemies is a little difficult. Now this is the same issue that Payday 3 has, and don't even get me started on the Killing Floor 3 beta. That was like really bad. But I think target acquisition is really important in a game like this, and when you can be defeated so easily in something like GTFO or Den of Wolves, you need to be able to identify a target and make sure that you have it on the top of the priority list if needed. So I think maybe visual clarity could be worked on from what I can tell. Next up is a pretty big one. Remember when I mentioned guns for hire? So 10 Chambers is considering locking mission critical objectives to only the host, which means the other 3 people in the game are just going to be there on defense as a gun for hire is what they called it. I think that sounds really bad. Like, it makes me feel like an NPC in someone else's game, which is very bad. Alright, Dollars, you gotta defend me while I take care of this drill. You got it, boss. Dollars, thanks a bunch for playing with me today. It really means a lot to me that you would play some Den of Wolves with me. You got it, boss. Dollars, it's just great having you around, man. I feel like you always know just what to say. And since she took the kids and left me with no home and no wife, it's just great to have you around, man. You got it, boss. The neighbors are now spraying their friends. Well, I get the idea of what they're going for. They're trying to reduce griefing. It's very admirable what they're trying to do, but there's gotta be a better solution than turning like 75% of your players into spectators with guns. Please figure out a better solution or drop this entirely. I think that's very important to the longevity of the game. Another negative thing to mention is that the game is actually dropping in early access. I feel like that's one not a lot of people know. Now I'm labeling this one as a negative because early access can be a mixed bag, but
Don't crucify me for this one.
GTFO launched in early access and turned out alright. So maybe it isn't a negative, but due to the poor execution of most early access titles, I'm gonna label this one as a negative. Please leave a comment if you think early access is a good or a bad thing. I don't really know where I stand on it. If I really had to pick one, I'd say it's more of a positive because it gives games an opportunity to figure out what they're doing in early access, but they usually turn out very, very poorly. So please let me know what you guys think. One final negative here, I do want to mention Tencent. Tencent helped fund the team expansion that we mentioned earlier, going from 10 to 100 devs on the 10 Chambers team. Now, Tencent is a major stakeholder, which means they can have some influence over the game. This could mean things slip out of Ulf and Simon's hands, and they lose some control over time. And while I was doing research for this video and looking at everything Den of Wolves related, I bet it even could be contributing to the fact that all the characters and the city all have like a futuristic Chinese aesthetic. Now, that's not a bad thing. I think the character designs are alright at best, and the city design looks very cool. But I think it's worth mentioning that a major entity like Tencent owns a lot of 10 Chambers right now, because we definitely know of another game that had a lot of meddling from a parent company, and that resulted in the game failing. That's right. Back for Blood. Since it's inevitable, I think we should talk about some comparisons to the Payday series. There are definitely some similarities here. Den of Wolves seems to have drill-style objectives, contracts for clients, there's a big focus on team coordination, which was very apparent in Payday the first one, but overall, I think Den of Wolves is aiming for more focused missions. They seem like they might have like fewer side objectives. Think Payday's Golden Grin Casino. You've got one big target that you have to get out as the main objective, but there's a bunch of juicy loot next door that you might as well grab. Overall, this game seems a lot like Payday the Heist. I feel like I keep bringing up the teamwork aspect of it because Payday the Heist really thrived on teamwork. I'm really hoping that's what Den of Wolves does. That's what GTFO did, maybe to a bit of an extreme extent, but teamwork nonetheless. I keep bringing up this teamwork thing for Payday the Heist, and that's typically because in Payday the Heist, all heroes who wander off on their own will be beaten senseless by every able-bodied cop on the force. Now that's unlike Payday 2 and 3 where you're just the Terminator. Another thing worth noting is that Den of Wolves is only coming to PC from what I can tell for now. That means faster updates and hopefully less red tape. Payday 3 suffered greatly throughout its lifespan. Talking about it like it's dead here. Payday 3 suffered greatly during its lifespan because waiting for approval for console updates took a very long time. That means nobody got updates while we were waiting for consoles to get updated. And now we haven't gotten an update for 3 months. That's mostly it. I'm not going to talk too much here about what my thoughts are. I mostly want to hear from you guys in the comments section. Leave a comment on this video talking about what you think Den of Wolves is going to look like when it launches. Do you think it's going to be good? Do you think it's going to suck? Do you think it's going to be somewhere in between? Live service slop? I don't know. What do you think? I can't decide if we should be hyped or scared or like cautiously optimistic at best. But anyway, I'm happy to give my opinion, which is why we'll be discussing Den of Wolves on my stream later tonight. After that, I'm going to put all my thoughts together from the stream and chatting with you guys in chat, and we're going to put another video out to go alongside this one. It'll be the first link in the description. So if you're watching this within about 24 hours of it coming out, go to the stream if it's only been a few hours, or go check out that other video if it's been over a day. I wanted to make sure everybody got the information from this video and had a chance to talk about it before I gave too much of my opinion, so we're going to try things this way. Before I cap things off entirely, I just want to talk about what's next for Den of Wolves. I think that for now we can only really speculate on how Den of Wolves is going to be or what it's going to give us. We still just need some more from 10 Chambers. We need some more gameplay, more transparency, more information about the game. Ideally, an open beta would be nice so that we can get our hands on the game. Hopefully 10 Chambers will give us something tangible so that we know what we're buying into. It really worked out for Killing Floor 3. And I think one of the big things is that if Den of Wolves really wants to compete with Payday long term, they've got to provide years of content, consistent updates, and a vision that doesn't compromise on anything and gets lost along the way. I think they did a pretty good job of this with GTFO. I'm still a little mad they got rid of the rundowns thing after promising us that levels would disappear. Kind of water under the bridge at this point. Still not happy about it, but whatever. I hope they stick to their guns with Den of Wolves. I think that's going to be really important. You guys know how I feel about developers caving to community feedback for things that probably should just be added to the game anyway. So that's pretty much it. That's where we're at with Den of Wolves. It could be the heisting game we've been waiting for probably like 3 or 4 years at this point, or it could just be another flop, like Back 4 Blood. And all of that is, if it ever actually releases in 2020X. We're getting dangerously close to never seeing this game ever again. Hashtag new Silk Song. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and comment your thoughts below. Then please also show up for tonight's stream where we're going to be discussing more about Den of Wolves. Then check out the video that comes out after that, which should be popping up right over here in a second. Not yet. You don't get to see it yet. It'll pop up soon. Okay, bye-bye. I'm gonna go play some Back 4